really want athletes to understand this is that you really have to work hard to figure out what comes next. Like for some of us, like we were born and basketball was here. Like I started playing basketball when I was 2. You know, and for a lot of us, it's really easy, that first phase, but it's really, really hard to find something else that you love just as much or more so, right? And that's really the key. It's not keeping yourself busy. It's like you have to figure out what it is that you really want to do. Like wake up in the morning and say, yo, I'm excited to go do this. What is that? Once you figure that out, everything will be fine. There was a lot of talk as to whether or not I was making the right decision. And there's a lot of people that were saying I was going to be a failure. And so I remember my concentration being extremely, extremely high and not having even one day to really enjoy it or celebrate it. I was back at the gym and working extremely hard because I felt like there was just so much at stake. Negative things and just refocusing them, right? So it didn't linger, it didn't, I used those things to help me get up at 4 a.m. and hit the track and then hit the weights and then get the shots. Like I use that as a source of motivation for me. So no matter what's said, be it positive or be it negative, when you have the point of view that no matter what is said, it's going to do nothing but fuel my passion, then you really, there's nothing anybody can say that's really going to take you backwards. You know what I mean? Because you just use it all. So you can't talk trash and say things that are just unrealistic. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll play in, there was a game in Utah during the playoffs, back in the day. And I'm taking the ball out of bounds. It's like the 4th quarter and the fan yells behind me, goes, Kobe, you're garbage. I turned around and I said, dude, be more creative. Like we both know that's not true. Like say something that's kind of somewhat realistic, that can like needle me a little bit.
So you have to dance beautifully in the box that you are comfortable dancing in, right? So like everybody's box is different. My box was to be extremely ambitious within the sport of basketball. Your box is different than mine, right? Every kid here has their own box, but it doesn't mean that your box isn't as beautiful as mine, right? Everybody has their own. It's your job to try to perfect it and make it as beautiful of a canvas as you can make it. And if you have done that, then you have lived a successful life. You have lived with Mamba mentality, right? So it doesn't mean you have to go out here and do all of these crazy things. I'll have to be like this person or that person. No, what are you comfortable being? What is it that you want to do with your life? And once you have that, then you try to live it to the best of your ability. Well, man, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves, actually. You know, I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself. The important thing to understand is you can't shortchange yourself. Like you're not cheating anybody but yourself. Right? I mean, you're tired. You're literally this far away from the line. Why would you not go that extra to touch the line, right? So if I let him get away with that, right, all of a sudden he starts maybe to cheat something over here, right? Not give his best over here. Not give his best over here. And as years go on, he's going to be he's not going to reach his full potential because he's been taking these little shortcuts that just add up. And you can't let that happen. Our job as teachers, as mentors, as inspirers, it's our responsibility to hold them accountable to those things. Every kid, every person has the ability to put one foot in front of the other.
One step at a time.
Right? So like if you're saying, okay, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, you're at the bottom of the mountain and you look up and you're going, I'm not going to climb Mount Everest, right? But if you break it down into sections and you just one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain.
I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. You're working out. So talk about that.
Okay, so if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12. Train at 12. Train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions, right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work. I think that if we focus on one thing and do that one thing exceptionally well, we won't fail at that one thing. So sometimes you got to put the other stuff to bed and focus on what you believe is the core of the company, and that always starts from what you love to do the most. Understanding empathy and compassion. Wish I'd known that earlier, because as a young kid when I came in the league, it was like, I'm driving this way, and either you're going to be on the train or be on the track. Right? There was no such thing as understanding that people have lives outside of the game, which apparently I did not. But like if I understood that at an early age, and it helps me as a leader to communicate better. I came to understand that later, and getting to know people on a personal level. What are their fears? What are their insecurities? Right? What are their dreams and ambitions, desires, those sorts of things? When you come to understand that about a person, then you can help them reach the best version of themselves. A very simple one. And, the Mamba Mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest. So starting at the age of 2, when I first started playing the game, and on and on and on, I always ask questions. I always try to get better every single day.
As a leader, you gotta be able to take the good with the bad, man. You can't just, because the ship's sinking, all of a sudden I'm gonna jump off and swim to another ship like that. You don't do that, right? If you can win championships in front of everybody, then you could miss the playoffs in front of everybody. You gotta be able to take both sides. Dreams they should be pure. And I think a lot of times, when we're born into this world, we actually wind up going backwards. And it seems like the more we mature, the more responsible our dreams become. And the more governors we put on ourselves and our ability to dream and to reimagine. And it's always a fight for us parents and for you guys to make sure that your dreams always stay pure.
What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go, emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. A lot of times I've seen players, even myself, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear, and to the point where you're saying, okay, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in a situation, and it does nothing but grow. Versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about the situation. Yeah, I am fearful about the situation. Well, what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is that life has this cyclical nature where it's, what you do on Monday, it's fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday. Yeah. So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? Versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution. Every day is just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out that matters.
Yeah. It's, that's the trick, isn't it? It's finding what you love to do. We talk about hard work all the time. It's like, man, if you got to get up every single morning and remind yourself how hard you need to work, you probably need to choose a different profession, because that shouldn't be there. I wake up in the morning excited to get to it. If I'm not training, I'm missing it. I'm not watching a game of basketball, I miss it. There's no place I'd rather be. And if you have that feeling, then you're truly doing what God has put you on this earth to do.
great.
Emotionally, to be able to put myself in a place where at practice or when I'm training or during games, I switch my mind to something else. I switch my mode into something else, right? For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time, right? So that was my mental switch. It was like an actor getting ready for a film. You got to put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character. And then when you leave there, it's something completely different. But when I'm in that cage, bro, don't fucking touch me. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. There used to be certain games, like, for like certain key games. I don't think I've ever said this before. This kind of makes me seem very psychotic, but whatever. I used to play the Halloween theme song over and over and over in my headphones. Pre-game. Seriously. And it was important that it was Michael Myers because the mask itself was void of emotion. Void of emotion. It has nothing to do with pressure, it has nothing to do with hype, has nothing to do with camaraderie. It's stone cold killer. And I would listen to that song over and over and over. Wow. That's when you know you better run, because you got to lead by example. As parents, you got to lead by example. If you want your kids to do whatever it is they want to accomplish in life, you have to show them. You can't. You got to show them. And you kind of got to get over yourself. Like, it's not about you, man. Like, okay, you feel embarrassed. You're not that important. Like, get over yourself.
That's where you go.
Get over yourself, right? Like, you're worried about how people may perceive you, and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? Like when I was in high school, and I used to work out with the 76ers. I used to ask them, what's it like to guard Mike? You go, Mike? You mean Black Jesus? I'm like, what the fuck? Black who? Oh, we call him Black Jesus. Or you can call him Black Cat. I'm like, I'm gonna call him fucking Mike. That's his fucking name. So the level of fear that he inspired in others was insane. Wow. And I would tell him, I said, when I face him, we're gonna go at it. He says, oh, you don't wanna do that. I'm like, what? Man, you don't know me, man. And so when we matched up, I think he understood that. And when I was 18, my first year, he got the best of me a bunch of times. I was right there the next play. You're not intimidating me, yeah. I'm not going anywhere. And I think he saw that level of respect, because I think he was the same way at 18 years old. And that common bond is what I think, where our connection was built. Basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
And I thought about all the times I was a kid and I dreamed of scoring 100 points. Like, I dream about it and I try to work it out in my brain, like this can logically be done, right? Because if you score 20 points the first quarter, now you're on fire. Second quarter, you have 20. Because if you score 20 one quarter, you can score 20 another, right? If you score 20 the first, score 20 the second, that's a 40-point night already, right? And so now you're rolling. So at that point, the momentum just feeds upon itself. So now you come out the third quarter, get off to a good start, might have 10 quick points. All of a sudden, there you are, sitting at 50 with a lot of game to go. Right? And so that's how I always kind of processed that and worked it out to believe that this is actually possible.